Good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We're happy to have all of you on this afternoon. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Grenada. For those of you who are on WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, Talk Grenada, and indeed those who are on the NDC Facebook page, we welcome you to another Heartbeat this Sunday afternoon in Grenada. Well, for today's program, we are going to share with you an interview which we held prior to today with the chairman of the National Celebrations Committee. She is Jacqueline Alexis, and she'll be talking about the 19th October, the activities to mark that date, and also October 25th. Thereafter, we will be sharing with you an interview which I held with Mr. Romain while in New York last week. He runs Labbe Market in downtown Brooklyn. Trust that you would enjoy these two interviews, and we'll catch up again next week, Sunday, where we'll have another interesting Heartbeat program for you. Good afternoon, Ms. Jacqueline Alexis. You are the chairman of the National Celebrations Committee, and delighted that you're able to find the time to have this interview with the Heartbeat, albeit it's pre-recorded. But of course, what is important is the information which you will share. So let me welcome you to the Heartbeat, and let me ask you to please formally introduce yourself.
Thank you, Terry, and good afternoon. Yes, so I'm Jacqueline Alexis. I'm the chairperson of the National Celebrations Committee, and I'm delighted to be here with you this afternoon. So thank you for having me.
Great, fantastic. And we would want the public to get a clear understanding that the National Celebrations Committee is working in collaboration with the 50th anniversary of independence. So, yes. Or maybe the other way around.
Well, whichever way around, it doesn't really matter. We are working in partnership, particularly on this, the event that we will discuss today.
Right.
So yes, so we're working in partnership on this.
Fantastic. All right. So let's get into the subject of 19th October. This was a date, of course, that has always been controversial, and government has decided to pull back that date for the launch of the 50th anniversary of independence to now this 30th. Is it the 30th or the 31st for the benefit of the public?
It's the 31st.
31st. Right. Okay, so the launch will take place on the 31st. But that's right. You're here this afternoon to talk about the activities to mark the 19th of October. So let me therefore invite you to share with the listening and viewing audience, what are the plans, what are the activities for the 19th October?
Okay, well, let's start off by speaking about the fact that government has declared the day as National Heroes Day. So going forward, 19th of October will be known as National Heroes Day. And in commemoration of that, they have also made it a public holiday. So each year going forward, it will be a public holiday and it will be known as National Heroes Day. And I think that it would be fair to say that that the response to that announcement has been very heartwarming, and it's been welcomed by the nation, I believe. So,
right. While you're on that aspect of Heroes Day, has there been, let's say, details developed as to how this will pan out? What are some of the criterias and so forth for establishing who will be a hero, who will not be? I know this sounds like a mind-blowing
Yes,
challenge.
it's a huge task. Yes, it's a huge task.
It's a serious challenge. And has any thought been given to it, or do you intend to involve the general public to participate and to help the committee in, resolving this complex issue?
Well, absolutely. The government, of course, had took this into consideration how they would roll out year after year, how that process would work. There will be a committee put in place who will be responsible for looking at who would be declared a national hero. Because, of course, our heroes aren't just the heroes of yesterday. They're the heroes of today. They're the heroes of the future. So at any given time or any given year moving forward, one of our national heroes could be, a sporting person, a cultural icon, could be declared a national hero. So this is something that would be done in consultation with the general public, and there will be a committee put in place that will be responsible for looking at who should be named a national hero.
Right. So after the initial decision of the committee, having had all their consultations, you're saying, in fact, that this will be a continuing exercise into the future.
Well, yes, Terry, in 50 years' time, we could be declaring you a national hero. I mean,
you never know.
You never know. Right? But I mean, and that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say, it's our heroes of the past, it's our heroes of the present. Right. I mean, I don't want to preempt anything the government might do or a committee might do, but, national heroes such as somebody like a Kirani, one day, somewhere down the line, he may be declared a national hero. I mean, in my eyes, he's already a national hero. But, given that status.
Right.
So it's not just for now, it's the legacy. It's our legacy for the future.
Right, definitely. Well, I'm just kind of a plain devil's advocate so that the general public understands clearly what the process will be like and so forth. So there's very little room for, well, I didn't know, they must have said something else, etc., etc. Now, I know that there have been talk about, at least Prime Minister did hint to the fact that he would like to see the establishment of a Heroes Park. How is that progressing, and what are some of the thoughts behind it?
Well, absolutely, that is part of the planning process, which will fall under the 50th anniversary activities. So again, I can't preempt what the Prime Minister and the Cabinet may decide on. I know they're currently in discussions about where that Heroes Park will be, and it will be a place where those who've been declared heroes would have specific items in their honor placed. So whether it's a plaque, whether it's a statue, whatever they might decide to do in honor of that person, that's where those items would be. So we have to wait to hear what the government decides and where they decide that place will be. But I, for one, am looking forward to that because I think it's something that's really important for the country, and I think it's it's an opportunity to have somewhere where we as citizens can go and honor the people that either we've lost and loved and lost, or whoever it might be. It's an opportunity to have somewhere where you can go and pray, leave flowers, however you choose to acknowledge and honor those persons. So I'm looking forward to how that rolls out.
Right. Have you experienced in your travels and so forth what other countries have done?
We have seen other countries and how other countries are honoring their heroes and so on. And I think from our perspective, we want to look at what we can do that is unique to us. So all ideas are welcome.
Right. Yeah, great. Because I know, for example, in the United States, they would have a huge wall with marble background, and you have hundreds of thousands of names.
9/11 from the 9/11. Yes. So there are many options. There's the possibility to commission somebody to help develop that park and what that park would look like and so on. So I think that it will be an ongoing something, and we'll look forward to seeing how that rolls out.
Yeah, that should be quite an interesting and exciting exercise to undertake. I know we have a lot of creatives in Grenada, a lot of creative individuals, and I'm sure lots of ideas will surface as to how it should be panned out in a Grenadian style, Caribbean spicy setting, and so forth. So that would be great.
And we want to be able to say, you know, in 20 years' time or so, that this is part of the legacy of our first 50 years of independence. So you know, it's an important milestone.
Yep, absolutely. So indeed. So let's go back to 19th October, and what are some of the activities that your committee is planning to honor this date? Right.
So obviously we're in our 50th year of independence, but we are now in our 40th year of the revolution and the events of the 19th of October 1983. So we're in a position where we're now wanting to honor, reflect, and remember that date, that occasion. And so the National Heroes Day is we're twinning that with National Heroes Day as a day to remember, commemorate, honor the loss of Maurice Bishop, his cabinet, and all the other persons who would have lost their lives on that day. So on the 19th, we will hold an ecumenical service at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium, beginning at 9 a.m. And the service will include, obviously, reflections and scripture readings and, you know, the usual service. It will also include some, we hope, some gospel singers. We're looking for some gospel singers and so on. So it will be a nice service to begin the day at 9 a.m. at the stadium. That will be followed by a presentation of cultural presentations and some remarks, as well as an address by the Prime Minister. We have actually been in discussions and in consultation with the Maurice Bishop October 19th Martyrs Foundation. And members of that foundation, along with family members, will be joining us on that morning at the stadium. They will be involved in the ceremony that will take place, so they will have an involvement and an input into that. So we're really looking forward to the nation coming out, joining us on that morning, and taking the opportunity to reflect and remember our lost loved ones. We're celebrating under the theme rekindling relationships, restoring hope, rebuilding trust. So that's the theme for the day, and that's what we will be reflecting on for that day, for that morning.
Great. Now,
go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Now, just thinking, would public transportation be available to the general public? Would government be putting on complimentary transport?
Absolutely. So if you wish to join us, you just have to go to your local parliamentary office and inquire about what buses are going and how you can get onto one of the buses. So absolutely, Government of Grenada will supply transportation, and we've also invited schools. So schools will be bringing their school children along as well. So we're looking for a very good turnout next Thursday.
Right. So the 19th, next Thursday, which is a public holiday.
Public holiday
will be available to the general public, island-wide.
Island-wide. And this is standard practice for us. We always, the National Celebrations Committee, when we have our activities, we always make sure that there are free buses available. So,
right. So the ecumenical service, which it starts off at 9 o'clock.
That starts at 9. That should go on for roughly 45 minutes to an hour, and then that would be followed by about an hour-long ceremony. That, as I said, would include. We've also got a national folk group performing. We have the PBC Boys Choir. We actually have an excerpt from the play Redemption Time by Urias Peters, which actually it opens on the 20th of October. So on the 19th, he's doing a short scene from the play, from the production, which is about 7 minutes long, and that particular scene it revolves around the 19th of October 1983. So it's very relevant to the time, and I'm really looking forward to that too. So we have poetry. We will also be having what we're calling a symbolic wreath laying in honor of our lost loved ones, and so that kind of would roll out the day. It should be about 2 hours. So by about 11:15, we should be that part of the day should be completed. Moving forward a little later in the day, at 1 o'clock, the church bells right across the country will be tolled. So all the bells will toll at 1 o'clock. And the nation is being asked to observe a minute's silence at that point. So we hope that we can get as much of the nation as possible at that time, everybody, just to stop and observe a minute's silence in honor of October 19th, 1983. And then the last part of the day will be at 7 p.m. And that will be on the Carenage, where we'll have a candlelit vigil. And there will be, we're asking people to come along, bring your candles and join us on the Carenage. And there will be strobe lights in honor of those that lost their lives. So that will that kind of rounds off the day for us.
Right, so starts off at 9 o'clock, then you go on to right through to 7 o'clock, where you would have the candlelight vigil, or there'll be a break in between.
Breaks in the day, right? So from 9 to 11 is the activity at the stadium.
Right.
And then we leave the stadium at 1 o'clock. You can, wherever you are in Grenada, Caracuao, and Petit Martinique, wherever you are, once the bells start to toll, you are asked to observe a minute's silence. And then later on in the evening, 7 p.m., then you can join us on the Carenage.
All right. For I'm just thinking of the logistics with respect to folks coming out from the countryside who would leave their homes at 8 o'clock to get in at 9, and then they have to plan to spend the entire day. The entire day.
We wouldn't expect that everybody is going to stay for the whole day. You may come for one part, you may come for a different part. You choose which you would prefer to observe, and so you have two choices really. If you want to come in the evening, you come in the evening. Want to come in the morning, you can come in. You want to come to both. If you live in the country and you want to come and spend the whole day in St. George's, then you can go to Grandance Beach and have a nice day out, and then come back to the Carenage later. I mean, the options are there.
Yeah, well, I think probably this is something that maybe the public, especially folks coming out from St. Andrew, St. Patrick, St. John, etc., should be encouraged to prepare themselves to spend a day in St. George, enjoy the beaches and so forth, and participate in the activities, because I can imagine the nightmare with transport logistics for some folks who want to return home after the ecumenical service, and by 1 o'clock they observe the 1 minute of silence, and then they say, well, look, I want to head home
for the day. Yes,
so,
like I said, we wouldn't expect everybody. Yeah, we wouldn't expect everybody to stay for the whole day in St. George's. We expect that some will come in the evening, some will come in the morning. Some may choose to stay all day and do other things in town. It is a holiday. It's an opportunity to go to the beach. It's an opportunity to do a little sightseeing. It's our country. We can do in it. We can do with it what we please, and enjoy our day.
But of course, those who choose to want to return home, then transportation will be made available for them to do so.
Of course, of course.
All right. Now, after the 7 p.m. candlelight vigil, what happens thereafter? Or that's the end of the evening?
That's the end of that day. Yes, that's the end of the day. Of course, we move forward into the following week on the 25th, and we do the national celebrations in collaboration with a conference of churches. We'll have its usual Thanksgiving service. This year it's being held at the Catholic Church in Granance. And so that would be our next activity. And that would round off our Thanksgiving and National Heroes period, that a week between 19th and 25th of October.
Right. So on the 25th of October, the church service, which will be held at the Catholic Church in Grandin, what time would it start?
That starts at 10.
10 o'clock.
Well, yes, that should be done by about 11:30. So that's a very short, and that's a standard. We will live stream. So, quite often we do have this every year, and quite often the nation decides to stay home and just view it on live, view it on TV, view it on Facebook, or whatever other streaming platforms.
Right. And just for the information of the public, the October 25th still remains a public holiday also.
It does, yes. That's right.
All right. So October is turning out to be quite a month. Yeah, quite a month indeed. Quite a month indeed. Yes. All right. Well, that's great. So we have the 19th covered with all the various activities, and then we have the 25th also covered. All right. Is there anything else that you wish to share with the general public?
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything, I think. Just to say, obviously, this is a national event. Everybody is encouraged to come. Everybody is welcome. Come out in your numbers. Come out and join us. It's it's the first time that we are acknowledging National Heroes Day. And it is the 40th anniversary of October 19th, 1983. So it's a very special day. And the invitation is there for the entire nation. Right,
absolutely. What sort of promotional activities do you intend to, well, notwithstanding Heartbeat,
absolutely.
other entities and so forth?
I think you're going to be hearing my voice a lot over the next couple of days, Terry.
Well, that's great.
They've been setting up some interviews. This is the first of many. I'll be out tomorrow doing a couple more, and then on Friday again. So right up until the very last minute, you'll be hearing my voice telling you to come out on the 19th and join us.
Fantastic. Well, let me join with you, therefore, in encouraging the general public to please come on out and participate. Be part of the recognition and a part of the celebrations to mark the 19th and also the 25th. The 19th is a little bit more somber and so forth, likewise the 25th, but like everything else, Grenadian style, we will find an opportunity to, have some
part of our history. It's part of our history, and we have to acknowledge it. We have to embrace it.
Yep.
And we have to move forward into the next 50 years as we move towards launching the 50th, the 50th celebrations on the 31st of October. So,
the thing about
all the time, but
for the interest of young students who probably have not yet gotten to read or study Grenadian history, 1974. Grenada was born, Grenada's independence was born in darkness, as you know. And therefore, after 40 years, one would imagine that this is the time for the individuals, families, and relatives and so forth who have lost loved ones during October 19th. This is a time to really and truly reflect and come to the recognition and the realization that we must now come together as a people, considering that we need healing. This is a process, and this is the time of healing. We cannot continue year after year in mourning and in grieving. This is the time now to celebrate the lives of those who have been lost. during the unfortunate period of 19th October. And after 40 years, maybe we can find some sort of biblical parallel. 40 years in the desert, it's now the time for transformation.
40 years in the wilderness, yeah.
In the wilderness.
Yes.
Now it's time for transformation. Now it's time for forgiveness. Now is the time to, come to the realization that we must now celebrate the lives of our loved ones whom were lost.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I've learned a lot in the last few days, listening and speaking with various people who would have lost family members and so on. And it's very hard. You can't prescribe for somebody else's pain.
Yeah. It's difficult.
And that that there's still 40 years on for some people. It's still just like yesterday.
Yesterday. Mm-hmm.
And so, we cannot prescribe for that. We would want to encourage healing. We would want to encourage forgiveness. But I think the government, in its wisdom, declaring it National Heroes Day and declaring it a public holiday, acknowledging we still have people in our midst who are still impacted by it.
They may very well, go on to continue in mourning, and that's totally, their right. One cannot put a time span on grieving and so forth, and therefore, one needs to be patient and understanding where one has to give consideration to how they feel. So let me give you the final closing words as we say our au revoir.
Yes, well, it's an important day. Come out and join us. As I said, the invitation is to the entire nation, and we look forward to welcoming you all to the stadium on the 19th at 9:00.
Great. Well, thank you very much indeed. This was an interview which was held earlier on this week with Jacqueline Alexis. She is the chairperson for the National Celebrations Committee, and she's inviting the general public to the activities on the 19th October, which starts at 9:00 at the National Stadium. And then don't forget, October 25th, the church service, which will be held at the Catholic Church in Grandans, that starts at 10:00. So for those coming out on the 19th, please try and make plans to spend the entire day in St. George's, because at 7 p.m. you have the candlelight vigil. So you'd want to make a full day activity in St. George's. Enjoy Grandans Beach and other beaches in St. George and participate. This is our history. This is Grenada. Thank you very much indeed. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Terry. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay.
Here now is an interview which I held with Mr. Romain of the Labbe Market in Brooklyn.
MacDonald Romain.
Yes,
well,
sir.
it's a pleasure. It's been a long time. I'm happy to finally meet you in New York. I hear that you are the king of vegetables from Grenada. Even one of your customers confirming.
I try my best.
It's really great to finally meet up with you. I know we had a conversation a long time ago.
We were supposed to.
And we were supposed to link up.
Blame Derek for that.
So I'm really happy that you have taken the time off, seeing that I'm on this short visit here to New York to receive me and so forth.
I must say that we're happy to have you. We're happy to hear about the post that you have, and we hope that it can be able to serve the people here in a better manner than how we were being served before. So we look forward to having a dialogue with you and seeing how we can we can get things together and and have a conversation going.
That's great. Well, I truly appreciate that. You are my first visit. I landed in New York very late last night, and I said, this is my first visit to come check you out, see how the business is going, see what kind of support Grenada can reassure you. I know you have always had challenges with respect to shipping.
It's a lot of challenge.
And that problem still exists, but it is something that has to be worked upon in collaboration with the other islands, Barbados, St. Lucia, etc. Because it's all a matter of space on the type of equipment JetBlue and American are using.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand that, but I still think in Grenada that the powers that be, the people who are supposed to be handling that stuff, I think they are far away from the day-to-day runnings of this thing. They're not in touch with what's going on.
Right. Well, this is why I'm here, to make things a whole lot easier
if you have an exporter, the exporter is supposed to, you can't make money all the time. Okay, the government is stressing that they want to do agriculture, and we are for that. I'm a farmer in Grenada myself. I'm farming 75 acres in Grenada myself.
Wow.
Okay,
that's
all right. So all the markets are on this side. We have to be able to get the stuff to the market, and right now we're not able to do that.
Right.
We have one guy there that's Amerijet, and once a month Amerijet leaves back all the cargo. You lose everything. There is no recourse. No, there's no responsibility. Nobody to turn to. Nothing. You just lose all your money.
Yeah, that is sad. That's unfortunate.
And I mean, you can't have this thing continue happening. And I've heard from anybody who are concerned about that Ministry of Agriculture down, Pest Management, whoever it is. I haven't heard anybody say anything about that. Anybody address those issues.
Right.
I haven't heard anybody address those issues. Those issues need to be addressed. We have JetBlue that we, I don't know if we're still subsidizing them to come to the country, but they don't take an ounce of freight. But meanwhile, I bring freight from Santo Domingo and other places with that.
Right.
Why aren't they taking freight from Grenada?
Yeah. Well, it is simply because of capacity.
They have capacity.
They have capacity.
They have capacity. They have capacity to take freight.
I have personally spoken to the management of JetBlue, and they said, look, we would love to take the cargo.
That's not true.
We just don't have the adequate baggage space.
It's not true.
Well,
it's not true.
That was their response.
It's not true, because more people travel out of the Dominican Republic than from Grenada, and they manage to take freight. So I'm not buying that.
All right. Well,
we had a meeting with them before. They said they were going to do it from January gone, January passed. Nothing happened.
All right. Well, I want to assure you that I will follow up this matter with the management of JetBlue and talk to my colleagues in the other islands and see how we can together put some form of pressure on JetBlue to say, look, you must fly a bigger type of equipment to cater for cargo, not just out of Grenada, but out of St. Lucia, out of Antigua, out of Dominica, etc., etc. Because that's the problem in the region. Airlift is a serious problem.
Airlift is a problem, but I don't think we are managing it properly. For instance, sometimes you go to the airport, depends on who you meet there, working there for the airline. They have space available, but they wouldn't announce the space or give the space to you. And the plane goes with empty space, and the vegetables stay and spoil, the fruit stay and spoil. I think the government should speak to you. Working for the airline, yes, but the government should speak to these people and tell them, listen, you're working for the airline, but listen, you are Grenadian. We have a problem here. We have all this stuff here. We're trying to get it out. Anytime you see anything available, please let the shippers know so we can get stuff out.
Yeah, this is something that requires a closer working relationship with the airlines, and this is something that the diaspora office is going to initiate with the airlines, to have a closer working relationship whereby they can say, look, my flight tomorrow is showing, my statistics showing maybe 50% uplift. I have space, can the farmers now bring their produce? That is the kind of relationship that we need to forge for the time being, until we can get a more permanent and proper structure being put in place. Because I know it's painful. It's really painful to see produce left back and then they go to waste. A lot of losses for you, and of course,
I spoke
not
to the
having
Prime
the
Minister
product
before.
in
The
New York.
conversation we had was, I know he's very big on farming. He wants to see that sector grow, and I think we would benefit greatly from that, because if we can feed ourselves, then we don't have to send all our money out to buy junk to come in. We have what they want.
Yeah.
All right. So, but one of the things that we have to understand is that if you tell the farmers, listen, I want you to boost up your farming, and they don't have no market for it, it becomes another problem.
Yeah. That is a point well taken. Well taken. If we're going to encourage the farming community to produce, we must equally work towards finding markets to help them sell their produce.
I'm operating at maybe 30 or 40% capacity in terms of stuff that I can sell from Grenada.
Wow.
I'm growing dashing bush in Grenada.
Where is your farming?
I have one in Frozen and one in okay. I'm growing dashing bush in Grenada, and yet I'm bringing dashing bush out of Trinidad.
Wow.
I can't get the space. So my stuff is going to waste.
Yeah.
My stuff is going to waste.
That's a major problem.
Why should I be buying stuff out of Grenada, out of Trinidad, and I have the stuff in Grenada?
And but the more Grenada is better.
Much better. But I don't have the space.
Yeah.
All right? I'm bringing the stuff out of Santo Domingo. All right? I'm farming there also. I'm bringing stuff from there. And the stuff, what I'm here for, one of my biggest reasons for being here is to be able to facilitate movement of stuff from Grenada, especially the agricultural stuff and fisheries. But I can't do it because I don't have the space.
All right. What kind of capacity would you say is required by your business? What amount of tonnage can you lift out of Grenada on a monthly basis?
We can do, for instance, out of Dominican, I bring 40,000 pounds of breadfruit a week.
40,000 pounds of breadfruit per week.
Yes.
So you saying that you can also lift this out of Grenada to capacity?
We have the capacity. And the thing about Grenada is that I don't only bring soursop. I bring dashing bush, I bring dashing, I bring avocado, I bring all different things. I bring all the different condiments and stuff like that. So we bring all different things. If we have the space, we'll bring the stuff. You understand? If we have the space, we'll bring the stuff.
And the arrangement with Amerijet doesn't work for you either?
No, because when the stuff goes to Miami, we pay Amerijet for it to go to Miami, and then I have to now pay somebody in Miami to take the stuff from Amerijet, bring it to American Airlines, and pay American Airlines from Miami to New York.
Wow.
That's double freight. The freight that I'm paying from Miami to New York is my profit.
Yep.
So I'm literally not making anything.
Yep.
But we have to try to get this stuff here to we have to keep the wheels spinning.
It looks like the region needs a type of American service where we pick up stuff in the different islands and bring it into New York.
Everybody had promised that in the beginning. British BWIA had said that they were going to bring a plane and take stuff from St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and Grenada and bring it down to Trinidad and bring it up to New York, but it never materialized. There's a lot of options. We could also, what we used to do before was bring this stuff to Barbados by boat, and we had a facility there where they'll take the stuff from the boat and bring it to the flight.
Right.
We used to do that, and it used to work. We can do the same thing in Trinidad, but we have to establish that kind of, that system to be able to get it from the boat to the flights, if they have space in Trinidad. So, it's all hands on deck. Whatever we can do, we're willing to do whatever it takes to get the stuff here.
Right.
All right. But we need the government to help us in that capacity and And the people and the powers that be who regulates those things, we need them to understand what we're going through.
Right.
Because it seems like everybody is so far away.
I understand your challenges. Are there other Grenadians like you in the Brooklyn area providing such services?
No.
So
No,
you're the
I'm the only one.
So you're the king in Brooklyn.
Well,
Where it comes to fruit and vegetables.
You could put it that way. With the Canadian stuff, yeah. You could put it that way.
You are the man on the ground.
You know, it didn't come overnight.
No, of course, it's hard work.
It took a long time to establish this system and to have this thing in place. So we don't want to lose it. We want to be able to enhance it, but we need to get all the help we can to be able to enhance it.
Okay, well, let me give you a commitment that I will do my utmost within the ambit of the Office of Diaspora Affairs and to communicate with the various airlines in consultation with the Ministry of Tourism, and let us see how we can work together in improving the airlift situation for cargo.
Yeah. Now, the US FDA for the last 5 or 6 years came out with the Food Safety Act, where they require certain documents concerning the plants, the packing houses, and stuff in foreign countries. It's a Foreign Food Safety Act. Anything that's been imported here, we have to have certain documents and certain paperwork. Grenada is not up to date, and we risk losing the opportunity of being able to ship here.
Right.
I have had conversations with Bureau of Standards, with Ministry of Agriculture, Plant Quarantine, and they were supposed to supply me documents since in January, up to now. We haven't received any clarification, any documents. I'm paying an FDA consultant $60,000 a year to help me to navigate this stuff. We cannot complete it because we cannot get the documents from Grenada.
Well, I will say
I'm getting it from Santo Domingo, I'm getting it from Jamaica, but I can't get it from Grenada.
All right. Well,
we need those people who are in charge, the people in Bureau of Standards, the people in agriculture, okay? They need to get up their butt and they need to get in line with this stuff before we lose our opportunity.
All right. Can you make available for me before I leave New York copies of
I'll give you all the
sent?
documents you need.
Yes.
You come to my office and I'll give you all the documents you need, and I'll show you all the conversations that we had and everything that's there. And so we could have a greater understanding as to what's going on. I'll provide you with all the information.
Look forward to it. If I can have it immediately after this interview, we go to your office and you give me copies.
I'll certainly have it done.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you so very much for affording me the time from your busy schedule. I see you operate a rather thriving business in there.
Yeah, we do. We do all that.
Wonderful.
People appreciate that they can come and get home away from home. So it's a big deal. It's a great deal.
Fantastic. Because I made it a point of duty. I said to my friend, you must take me to Labe Market. He said, well, you got to be there because Mr. Romain is the man who really makes things happen in Brooklyn.
We try our best. And I mean, for me, it's not all about the money. For me, it's I feel like I'm on a mission to get this stuff done, and it's a great service, and I think I'm called by God for that.
Well,
so I appreciate, the people coming and getting the stuff, and it brings a lot of joy when they come and they can see stuff that they haven't seen for years.
Right.
And so it brings a great joy. And I look forward to doing much more.
Wonderful. That is really wonderful indeed.
Yes.
Well, my brother, I want to thank you so very much.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you indeed.
We wish you all the best in your endeavors. We wish you all the best in your job. Any way we can help to make it successful, we're free.
Very good.
Tomorrow is going to be rain, so it would have been a good thing to come here on a Saturday.
Yep.
You come here on a Saturday, you can meet everybody you haven't seen for a long time.
Well, I will certainly pop by tomorrow. Thank you very much again.
Here now is a conversation which I held last night at the NDC fundraiser gala with the chairman of the NDC chapter, Mr. Leslie McQueen. We have here the chairman of the NDC Florida chapter, Leslie McQueen, the man who has received a great award earlier on. Leslie, thank you and congratulations.
Yes, Terry, thank you. We're very happy to have you here with us to celebrate. It's our first anniversary as a chapter. And being here, you being here along with the Prime Minister and such a wonderful delegation, we are elated to have you guys. And I hope you guys continue to have a good time for the rest of the night and continue to support what we're doing here in Florida.
Yeah. Well, I want to just take this opportunity to share this information with the general public in Grenada. Your chapter has done a great job by financing the air travel, hotel, meals, all by yourselves in bringing the delegation from Grenada. Because there is a misconception that taxpayers' money has to pay for these trips. And I just want to make it absolutely and abundantly clear that whenever the Prime Minister and his delegation travels to one of these fundraiser events, it is being financed by that particular chapter.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, we are very happy to do that because we believe having the Prime Minister here with us, it's very important for Grenadians in the diaspora to hear from him as to his plans for the country and what he's doing to help the people of Grenada. Also important is his plan for the diaspora. The diaspora, as you are aware, Terry, are very much involved in what's going on in Grenada. There are lots of professionals in the diaspora that are helping Grenada in different ways and would like to help going forward. So our organization, our chapter, is very pleased that we have been able to buy the tickets, provide the accommodation, transportation, and cover all costs for the Grenada delegation, Prime Minister, yourself, and others to be here with us. And we will do it again, and again, and again, and again, because we believe that having you guys here are extremely important for what we're doing here in Florida.
Well, thank you very much. At least it gives an opportunity to connect with the Grenadian masses in the diaspora. The Heartbeat is now pleased to share with you a presentation made by Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell last night at the very successful NDC fundraiser gala in Florida.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right, it sounds like you're ready to party? All right, so I like the energy. Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you this evening. And I want to start, obviously, by recognizing all of our distinguished guests who are with us this evening. I think Ambassador Forrester's list was as detailed and as extensive as I could ever wish it to be. But nonetheless, I obviously want to recognize my colleagues who traveled from Grenada with me to be here. And since I know the table is a little back, I still want to make sure that everybody gets to see them. So I would start with our Queen, Dr. Tessa Sincere. Dr. Sincere, if you don't mind standing and just coming out a little, so that everyone gets to see you. She would say to me she doesn't like the doctor thing, just Tessa. But the truth is, it's not an honorary doctorate, it's an earned doctorate. So, so I think it's important that we recognize Dr. Sincere. She is the caretaker for the constituency of St. Andrew Northeast. She ran in the last elections. Prior to that, she also served as a senator in our upper house of parliament. And she's really doing a lot of work, serving on a number of boards, continuing to look after her constituency. And she is the recording secretary of the National Democratic Congress. So I'm very happy to have her with me this evening. So Dr. Sincere, thank you very much for coming. Ambassador Nixon, if you don't mind simply standing so that everyone knows who Ambassador Nixon is. So Ambassador Nixon formerly served as Grenada's ambassador to China if I am not mistaken, under the former National Democratic Congress. Is that correct, sir? Right, so despite what they tell you, it is not only young people who's around. We have some people who've been around for a while who are still continuing to serve. He's still serving as an ambassador in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, so thank you, Dr. Nixon, for being here. We have the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. So Mr. Barry, I'd ask you to come out. You need to come out because the pillars are... Sorry, this is a step-out time. You know, no hiding. I will say that they don't have him on the agenda to speak tonight. I don't know why. So thank you, General Secretary. We have, of course, our ambassador for the diaspora, Mr. Forrester. And he doesn't normally speak from a script, so I'm not so sure what happened tonight. You know, but he and the General Secretary have certain things in common. So maybe that's why he stuck to his script this evening. So again, I want to thank you, Ambassador, for accompanying us and being with us this evening. I have Ms. Leslie, who's my assistant and who makes sure that I actually attend these events by remembering them and scheduling everything and keeping me in track. So Ms. Leslie, thank you again. And we have Mr. Charles, who is part of the security detail. I want to recognize some friendly faces that I'm seeing here tonight who I actually met the first time I visited Florida in my capacity as a politician, which was not too long ago, because Florida, in fact, is sort of where it all started in the diaspora. So I certainly want to recognize Mr. Holness, who's here with us tonight. Thank you again, sir, for coming. Is Mr. Campbell here? No? He's on his way. All right. So I want to recognize Mr. Freddie Figures. Mr. Figures, if you don't mind. Again, these were some of the folks who, from the very earliest of days, not knowing me, came out to offer the support, the help and assistance in my then very early fledgling political career. And so I want to thank you again for coming back to be with us this evening. I want to make a special mention of a number of persons. Sorry, I'm almost doing the vote of thanks for whoever has to do the vote of thanks, so forgive me. I want to make special mention of the NDC Florida chapter executives. Leslie, if you and your team can just come out and stand a little so that everyone can see and recognize you, because without them, I would not be here tonight, you would not be here tonight, so I think it's important that we recognize the people who are behind the scene. So Leslie and the team, if you can stand. I know some of you may be sitting. There we go. Who am I missing? You can come forward, come forward. I want to make sure we don't miss any of you. And forgive me for a little bit for singling out my aunt, Maria, real aunt, blood aunt, who's in Orlando and travels all the way up every time I'm here to lend both her family, personal, and chapter support. So thank you, Auntie. Right, we have one of the Neds, but there are 3 Neds. So I also want to thank the Neds in particular for hosting us last night as well. So thank you very much to the NDC executive members. You've made this possible. And I certainly appreciate the tremendous work and effort that you've put into making sure that we have a room full of wonderful looking, beautiful people. You all look fantastic tonight. Thank you very much for coming out. Thank you. So I do have a bit of a prepared text, but I'll probably divert a little bit from it and perhaps just speak a little bit from the heart. You know, the diaspora, I said it pretty early after my engagement with Florida, that if elections were called in the diaspora, I was confident that the National Democratic Congress was going to win all 15 of the seats that we had in Grenada. And so I say this in earnest because I think I certainly recognize that very early you offered your support your defense, your resources, your mouths, almost all of the resources you had to support the change that I think we so badly needed in Grenada. And so I think myself and the other members of the National Democratic Congress are under no illusion that the diaspora in general, and certainly this NDC chapter, played a pivotal role in ensuring that you help give us momentum and to help turn the tide to make sure that it could have been, in fact, the change that I think Grenadians deserved to ensure that our politics went in a different direction. So I want you to give yourselves a round of applause for that. And I'm even happier that you have doubled down and reinforced the support, the resources, the commitment, your opinions to ensuring that the administration doesn't say one thing and do another thing, and that we remain true to the cause of ensuring that all Grenadians get an opportunity to be successful. Because while politics is competitive at elections time, it is vitally important that we appreciate that as the government, we represent all of Grenada, all Grenadians, and we need to make sure that all Grenadians get an opportunity to be able to be prosperous, to be able to live a healthy, sustainable, and enjoyable life, and more importantly, to ensure that the next generation of Grenadians have examples, good examples, by which they can pattern themselves. And I know, certainly, I think in my 20s and 30s, politics, and perhaps even up to the point in time when I entered politics, was not something that was attractive. And I give an example. I attended an event at my daughter's school, and one of the young ladies, they must have been 7 or 8, she was asked what she wanted to be when she grew up. And she said she wanted to be a politician. And there was a collective gasp of no. Because that is how politics and politicians were perceived. But you can't change your country if the politicians and the politics is one that isn't attractive, is one that discourages rather than encourages persons to get involved. And so, by the fact that this room is full with all of you tonight, I take this as a sign that we are beginning to mark a new era in Grenadian politics, where people view politics as something that is positive, where people view supporting a political party as something that is positive, because they believe the political party and the government, by extension, is acting for the people in the best interest of the people. And therefore, I want to ensure and pledge to you that as Prime Minister, I remain committed to ensuring that the politics in Grenada is a politics about serving the people. We may not always get it right. We are certainly human and we will make mistakes. And given the fact that we are still relatively rookies in government and in politics, I'm sure there are things, and I'm sure the learning curve remains steep. But it's important for us to remain humble, because oftentimes the humility goes out the door the day after the politicians are sworn in. It's important for us to remain humble. It's important for us to remain grounded and connected with the people. And that includes the diaspora. So a forum like this is not just about celebrating, obviously it is, about partying, but it's about assuring you that we remain true and committed to engaging, to meeting, to hearing from you, and to subjecting ourselves to your views, your thoughts, so that when, for example, I live here tonight, I'm clear as to what are the concerns or challenges or even the counsel that you may have for me and the government. So thank you again for coming out tonight and for being here with me. I just want to give a quick summary of, I think, some of the things that have happened over the last year, and as well as to talk about some of the major initiatives that we have in the next coming months and in the next year or so. Now, and I say this because it's quite easy to forget, and a day is like a year in politics and a year is like a decade. And so from a context of where we were coming from, certainly from a political party, we were coming from an era where the National Democratic Congress had lost the last 2 elections, which is a 10-year period, devastatingly badly. We had not won a single seat in Parliament. And I kind of say that we created in Grenada by the ballot what the Chinese have been able to create in China, perhaps through another means, which is a one-party state. Because effectively we had one party having all of the seats in Parliament. So there was no opposition, there was no alternative voice within the official institutions of governance. And so we came from that and reversed that in what I would call a relatively short period of time. I did not get involved in politics until the summer of 2021. And I became political leader of the party on the 31st of October, 2021. And we had elections in June 2022. And therefore, one may argue that the result ought to have been another 15-0, but it wasn't. It was 9-6. And testimony to the growth and strength of the party, it is now 10-5, because Sister Delma Thomas has seen the light and has recognized that we all need to go in a direction that is better for Grenada. And so I want to shout out and thank her for taking the bold and courageous step that she took. And so politically, we are 10-5. And we've been able to tackle major issues in Grenada which have been outstanding for decades. And so when we talk about, for example, the fact that we paid public servants their pension, it is not just the fact of the payment, but the fact that this issue plagued the country for 40 years. And no government, past NDC administrations, NNP administrations, were bold or courageous enough to say, you cannot treat your people like that. You need to end this squabble, and you need to ensure that when people have worked for your country, if they're entitled to their pensions, that the pensions be paid to them. So this was not just about money, but it's about the principle of how you treat your citizens. And so, in a couple of months, we resolved to do and did what past administrations never did over 40 years, which is to end this ongoing conflict, pay public workers their pensions upon retirement, and going forward, they will continue to receive their pensions. Now, we are embarking upon regularizing the public service. And that is important because coming out of the structural adjustment program, Grenada had significant debts where our debt to GDP ratio was as much as probably anywhere between 110 to 130%. And it meant that the government froze the public service, but kept hiring persons on all kinds of ad hoc contracts for service, contract off service, temporary, all kinds of things. So we've ended up in a situation where you have people who are sitting right next to each other, doing the same job, but earning vastly different salaries and vastly different terms and conditions of employment. It clearly is going to demoralize the person who's not being paid as well as the person who's being paid. And we've got thousands of persons who are in that position. They have no pension, they have no vacation, national insurance is not being paid for them, etc., etc. So it's a mammoth task. But again, we have not shied away from it. We have said we will treat with it, and we've begun the process of doing so because we recognize that a country is about its people. It's not about the government. And if your citizens are not being treated fairly, and if that unfair treatment is coming from the government, then we are not going to build a society that's inclusive or cohesive, or it's going to go in the same direction that we need it to go. So we are tackling this issue. We've started the regularization process. There are public servants who've been acting in positions for 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 8 years. We are taking it on and we are dealing with it. So Cabinet just approved, for example, the regularization of 111 teachers who have been acting or holding temporary positions as teachers, in some instances for as many as 8, 9, 10 years. Now, the consequences of these things are devastating on people. If you go to a bank and you ask for a job letter and it says you're a temporary teacher, the bank isn't going to lend you any money. And so you cannot leverage your job to actually improve your standard of living or your family's standard of living. So again, it's not just about the immediate cost of the money, but the impact it has on our citizens and our welfare and our way of life. So we are happy to address those issues. It is not to say that we do not have financial constraints or limitations, we do, but we recognize that in the long run, if a teacher can get a salary, can get a loan, if a teacher can help her child go to university using her job, that's the power of employment. But if you can't use your employment to leverage financial resources from the financial institutions or the banking institutions or the credit unions, you are almost unemployed because you are essentially living paycheck to paycheck and it means nothing to you. So these are some of the issues that we are tackling. And sometimes we may not see the immediate or obvious benefit of it, but we recognize that in the long run, it certainly will empower our citizens to be in a position where they can be proud of the jobs they do, they can be more motivated, they can be more productive, because they would be in a position to take care of themselves and to take care of their families. There are simple things we've done. For example, we moved from a system where public servants were paid monthly to where they're paid bi-monthly. Again, there were persons who said those things would never happen, and they happen within a matter of months. And I speak of this because if you create a society where the citizens have no faith in the government, because the government simply never does what it says it will do, then you create citizens who do not have faith in their country, who do not believe in their country, and invariably the country will fail. And so it's important for us to ensure that we create citizens who believe in the state institutions, who want to be part of the state institutions, and who want to make their country a better place. And I have no doubt that all of you here tonight who are Grenadians and who are friends of Grenadians share that commitment. So, thank you. Ambassador Forrester has spoken a lot about what we are doing for education. I am unapologetic about this. I'm only standing here because I had the opportunity to be educated. I went to public schools all my life, pre-primary, primary, secondary, and I view the University of the West Indies as a public school because it is largely funded by the governments of the Caribbean. It is our university, and by the way, it's one of the top 50 universities in the world. So I think as Caribbean people, we have to be proud of that fact. And so I recognize that for an ordinary boy or girl in Grenada, if they do not have the opportunity to get an education, they do not have the opportunity, essentially, to make something of themselves, to make their families and to make their villages and, by extension, the country proud. So anything that I can do to get rid of obstacles that prevents our students from having access to education, having access to quality education, and having access to education that is dynamic and reflective of this century, I'm prepared to fight that obstacle with everything that I have in me. And so whether it's eliminating registration fees, getting rid of the tuition fees, beginning to diversify our education system, reversing this cultural norm that it is still the academics that are important over the skills, all of these issues are issues that we are tackling. So we intend to promote technical vocational education as much as academics. We intend to make it clear that the creative arts is just as important as science and math, and that music and language and writing and painting and drumming and costume making is all part of the education system, and we need to make sure that our students are exposed to that and that they understand that. We need to make sure, and Freddie, that's why I singled him out, that our students understand that we simply cannot be the consumers of technology only, that we need to understand it and we must be able to produce the technology as well to solve our own challenges, as well as to help the world solve the several challenges that we face together. So, for me, ensuring that we spend the time, the resources, and the effort in improving and fixing our education system is absolutely vital, because to me that is the single biggest sector that has the potential to continue the transformation of Grenada and to make sure that Grenada is a sustainable place 100 years from now. And then I will touch on a topic that I know is probably most dear to the hearts of everyone in the diaspora, which is healthcare. You know, and I'm sure many of you would want to spend more time in Grenada, may even want to retire, but you're probably a little hesitant with your concerns over the state of healthcare in Grenada. I want to assure you, it's not going to be something that happens overnight, but we recognize that healthcare does have the potential, and our government views it this way, as an industry, as a business, as a social good, to genuinely transform Grenada. And so it's been a pipe dream for perhaps since Grenada has become an independent country, but we intend to make good on this reality. We have acquired 89 acres of land, which will be the site of what we hope will become our new teaching hospital, which allows us to promote medical tourism. And so, knowing how this issue is important to you, I want to use this opportunity to invite members of the diaspora who are interested. This is a fantastic opportunity from an investment point of view, from those who work in the medical health industry, from a capacity, knowledge, expertise, experience point of view, to be able to, in a sense, ensure that this becomes successful. To a large extent, our vision for this is that we've done what we need to do, which is to acquire the site. We want this process to be driven and led by the private sector. We want this process to be driven and led by persons who want to invest in our healthcare industry, because we genuinely believe that this is an opportunity to transform not just healthcare in Grenada, but to transform the economy of Grenada. And so I would certainly be happy to hear from anyone who wants to put their hands up to serve in any way to help us make this a reality. This is something that we are absolutely committed to doing because we think it is good for Grenada, it is good for Grenadians in the diaspora, and overall we think it will be good for the Caribbean as well. So we are not saying we will fix our healthcare problem by building a building. We are saying the building will be symbolic of all of the things we need to do to get our health and medical situation into the 21st century and beyond. So that is something that we are very keen to do. We have acquired the lands, so the next stage obviously is the concepts, the financial modeling, et cetera, so that we can get this and make it a reality in the not too distant future. So housing is another major issue. We are committed to building, and when I say we, it doesn't mean the government has to build it, but that we have to facilitate that to ensure it happens, at least 500 Grenadian homes to help with the housing situation in Grenada. Again, we view the housing as an area that the diaspora, particularly from an investment perspective, can get involved in. Because we know many of you who want to come home don't want to deal with the challenges of having to buy the land yourself, deal with the lawyers, deal with the banks, deal with the contractors, and construct the home. You'd prefer to actually have the home built so that you can simply walk in and buy the home. And we believe there's a real opportunity here, both from an investment and from a use of technology point of view, to begin the process of transforming the housing stock in Grenada. So I certainly want to invite you again to look at getting involved and investing in this area. It is not to say that all of the traditional support that you've given, the remittances, which you give and continue to give, all of the fundraising efforts that goes towards helping our schools, the supply of medical equipment, medicines, all of that is required. But I want to make it clear that the mindset where we simply ask the diaspora to give us immediate material goods and then say thank you and bye-bye, those days are over. We need your expertise, we need your connections, we need your strategic thinking as to how we take Grenada to its next 50 years. And I would therefore like to talk about the 50th anniversary of independence, which essentially will commence with an official ceremony on the 31st of October at the Carenage. If you can come down for that, we invite you. If you can't, we certainly invite you to come between October and February, because we're planning a list of extensive activities for the entire year. So we are going from October 2023 to October 2024. We are going to have events that will culminate naturally on the 7th of February, but after that, each parish is going to be given the opportunity during a particular month to be able to have a parish celebration. And we want to make sure that it's not just St. George's that captures the bulk of the activities, but that throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, the independence activities are captivated. It is going to be a dynamic set of activities. Some are events, some will be commemorative, some will be legacy in nature. And I say legacy in nature, and I would want to perhaps just talk about the first act that we have done, which is to declare the 19th of October as a national holiday. Now, I know the 19th, for obvious reasons, stirs up a lot of emotions and is as tragic and as controversial a day in our history. But it is our history, and we can't run from it. We can't pretend it didn't happen. And as part of our growing up as a nation, we have to acknowledge that there's good, there's bad, there's indifference, but all of it is what makes us Grenada and Grenadians and who we are. So it's taken 40 years. Sometimes things just don't happen before their time. But I'm quite proud to be the Prime Minister who was bold enough, courageous enough to accept that our Prime Minister and our cabinet cannot be assassinated. And we pass this day as if nothing happened with no official recognition from the state of Grenada. Right. But I also recognize that, the 19th of October isn't the be-all and end-all of Grenada. There was Grenada before the 19th, there will be Grenada after. And so from a nation-building perspective, and particularly to ensure that persons who are 40 years and under understand the history of Grenada, we thought it was fitting that we mark the 19th of October not just by the tragedy that happened on the 4th, but by recognizing that there are Grenadians who have sacrificed, in some cases the ultimate price, as it happened on the 19th, but in many cases their entire lives, building Grenada. And so we are marking the 19th as National Heroes Day, not because we are saying it's only the persons on the 19th who are heroes, but because we're saying you have to pick a day. And what more of a significant date than the 19th, so that as a country, we can have the discussion as to who we want to be recognized as our national heroes. And so as part of our 50th anniversary, we would welcome the discourse, the discussion, so that by the time we get to October 19th, 2024, we can actually name the national heroes, recognize them, thank their families for the support that they've given, and be able to unveil the statues or busts of them so that we can accept that these are our national heroes. My government is currently negotiating to, I would use the term get back, in inverted commas, because the negotiations are amicable, and I think the lessee recognizes what we want to achieve. So there's a site called the Rivera site, which is located immediately next to the Camahon Park. It's 5 acres of land, so if you're on Wall Street, you can see currently it's in vegetation. That land was leased by the former administration to a business person, a developer, and we've asked that person to surrender the lease to the government because we want to be in a position to combine the Camahon Park and the Rivera site and to create a national park that essentially will become known as National Heroes Park, which allows Grenadians to have open, wider green space on Grandlands Beach, and that ensures that future generations of Grenadians have open, uninhibited access to a major green space on Grandlands Beach forever and ever and ever. So we recognize that we have to balance development, economic activity, with ensuring that we also preserve those aspects of Grenada that are important to Grenadians and to make sure that future generations of Grenadians will also have the ability to access them. So for instance, we don't take it for granted that if we don't protect and look after places like Grandlands Beach, and if we don't ensure that the developers and investors who come to Grenada understand what we're trying to do, that one day we may wake up like in Jamaica and find out that all beaches are private beaches, or that you have to pay to go to the beach, etc. So we've made it clear, and we've instituted the policy that if the state owns any land on Grandlands Beach, that it will only be transferred via leasehold, which means if you don't perform under the lease, we can get back the land, which means when the term of the lease expires, we can renegotiate with you. And so we've done that for the Radisson site. We've reacquired the freehold, and it therefore means we're the landlord, the hoteliers are the tenants, and therefore we can ensure that we can partner with each other and that they can do what the things they need to do. And if they don't, we have the ability to be able to terminate the lease or to call them in and have a discussion. And so we've done this. Right. We've done this not just for Radisson, but the Kowana Bay site, which is located on the former Flamboyant Hotel site. We've also acquired this property. The aim is to have a developer continue and finish the stall development, which was stalled under the former administration. But again, the terms of doing business will be that we are leasing the property to you. Now, I want to make this clear. This is not anything new. The father of Grenada, Sir Eric Matthew Geary, never sold any of the lands on Grandlands Beach. It was always leasehold. And so all we are doing is going back to the principles established by our founding fathers, which is if it is strategic, important government land and you wish to develop it, we will lease it to you so that you can honor and do the things you said. But if you don't, we want to be in a position where we can get back the land, give it to another developer, or ensure that the next generation of Grenadians have access to the lands. So I mentioned some of this because I think it's important for us to understand that as a country, as small as we are a sovereign state, and it's important that we plan not just for now, but that we can plan for the next 50 years, the next 100 years, so that Grenadians then knew that we were prepared to think about them rather than just ourselves when we are making decisions about the government. So we want our 50th anniversary to be a reflective one. We want it to be an honest one. We want us to have the debate and the dialogue in a civil manner. We are not always going to agree, and divergent views are welcome. But I also want us to love one another. I want us to cherish one another. I want us to appreciate that it is better to have an argument than a physical fight. I want us to appreciate that it takes all of us, young, old, in between, to be able to build and move Grenada forward. And so I got involved to do just that. I will admit there are times it's difficult. There are times I may scratch my head. Thankfully, there are no gray hairs as yet. There are times when I may wonder if it's all worth it and what will it be like 10 years, 15 years from now. But I know that you can't make a change by being on the sideline. You can't improve by not being prepared to make sacrifices. And for the hundreds and thousands of Grenadians who've sacrificed one way or the other in the past so that I could have benefited from the life I got, the free education, the ability to go to school, the ability to make something of myself, that I owe it to the next generation of Grenadians to make sure that I too can give back, I too make a little sacrifice to make sure that a next young man or young woman feels proud enough that they too, when they become successful, would be prepared to give back to their country, to give back to their family, to give back to their schools, to give back to their village, and help someone else along the way. Because, as we say in Grenada, it's the one cocoa that fills the basket. So, I want to encourage all of you, in your own way, to put your one cocoa in the basket so that we can continue to fill our basket in the hope that one day the basket does overflow and that the next generation of Grenadians can benefit from that. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. You all look truly, truly amazing. Well, look at Rockin' G. You know. So enjoy the dinner, enjoy the dancing, and I look forward. This is inaugural, so I'm sure on the next occasion I'll be happy to be here. And remember, we all have to promote and market Grenada, so please tell your friends, your families, if they haven't visited Grenada as yet, they're missing out on heaven on earth. Thank you.
We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture.
Here now is a
Thank you for joining the Heartbeat today. It was a pleasure having all of you, and let's do it again next Sunday, where we will have other interesting interviews lined up for you. Have a great Sunday afternoon. Goodbye.